Right now, we find ourselves in an environment with rising interest rates and rising inflations, almost on a global scale. And the world is still trying to recover from what was a once-in-a-generation global pandemic. I read an interesting article the other day that really made me think about a concept, and that concept is called the butterfly effect. The butterfly effect is the idea that essentially something very small can actually lead to something very large. So, for example, a butterfly flapping its wings in Nicaragua could lead to a typhoon on the east coast of Africa. This concept was also popularized by a movie of the same name starring Ashton Kutcher. Now, although a butterfly flapping its wings doesn't actually lead to a typhoon off the east coast of Africa, what it's really saying is that small events can trigger much larger events that have a much greater impact on the global society. Let me put this in simple terms. What we are experiencing right now is an accumulation of all of the events that have come before it. So the global pandemic and the current war between Russia and Ukraine can actually be traced all the way back to events that happened pre the pandemic. All of the events that we are seeing right now can actually be traced all the way back to Wuhan in 2020 or late 2019. An outbreak in Wuhan, which could be considered the butterfly flapping its wings, has led to supply chain issues, rising inflations, economic recessions, and the whole global economy on the brink of an economic recession. However, we always like to take a glass half full approach, and our belief is that all of this will start to normalize. We are already seeing a reduction in gas prices. We are already seeing a return to normality across supply chains, especially through Asia and Europe. Hopefully, the war between Russia and Ukraine doesn't last forever. As Peter Esho says, nothing does. And this should see some of the commodities and input prices also start to come down. And of course, around the world, reserve banks have been aggressively raising interest rates, which is going to have and already has started to have an impact on rising inflation. And remember that the Chinese factories aren't going to stay closed forever. The war between Russia and Ukraine is not going to last forever. And even the supply chain shortages and some of the input costs issues that we're currently seeing will not last forever. As a commentator and expert that I follow, Peter Esho says, now is the time to be brave, not to panic. Like and share for more tips and videos.